Hello, I'm Bruce Barton. I've been involved in search and rescue for over 25 years. Between my two dogs, we have over 50 water searches over the past 19 years. This video is produced for search and rescue units and canine teams to help train dogs to effectively search for a drowning victim. It should be used in conjunction with the manual Water Search for Dogs to help you to better understand the key components of this training program. This video will highlight certain sections of the manual. It will not follow the manual in its entirety, but will cover the segments that are essential in training a dog for water searching.
Natural hazards and man's own ignorance of the dangers and power of water during recreational and water sports activities causes emergency services units to respond to thousands of drownings each year across the United States, resulting in the loss of thousands of lives.
It is important that a handler who plans on doing water search have access to certain special equipment, one of the most important being a PFD, personal flotation device. We recommend that the handler purchase their own PFD so it may be sized and equipped to fit them and their requirements. A PFD must fit and be worn properly, as your life will depend upon it. Some of the following things that you will need to carry on your PFD are a whistle connected with a short cord to the PFD, a light of waterproof type connected to the PFD. We recommend a combination of a strobe and flashlight. A space blanket and a waterproof bag is extremely important in case you should become wet yourself and need protection from the elements. Latex gloves in case you have to handle the body. A rescue throw bag for emergency situations. Thermometer to measure water and air temperature. A scientific type that is weighted with a loop so you may attach a string is recommended. A compass of the handheld sighting type. Water shoes and water gloves made of neoprene or other appropriate material. Polarized sunglasses to reduce the brightness and to reduce the glare on the water. Carabiners are handy in case you have to take your throw rope and connect it to your watercraft or to a tree as a safety line.
A wind speed and direction indicator. Global positioning system for tracking your location and alerts. Special canine equipment should include a canine wetsuit for protection, and a canine PFD, especially in larger bodies of water. The most common types of alerts and indications are barking, changes in posture and attention to the water, whining or whimpering, physical indications such as biting or pawing at the water, or picking up an object off the bottom of the boat. Common rewards can be play and praise. As in land search, a well-timed reward is very important. In the beginning stages, it's important to do a problem where the dog works from land to water. Check the wind direction to make sure the wind is coming from the water towards the land. Start your dog with its normal search command. it is important to be able to read your dog, and it should do its normal indication as it would do on any other land search.
Show me.
Whether this be a refind or a bark indication. Remember to reward your dog. Timing here is very critical. Introduce your dog to as many types of boats as possible. Use a variety of watercraft, including canoes, V-hulls, flat bottom, powered and non-powered boats, inflatable watercraft. Let your dog experience as many types of craft as possible. Do not force your dog. In this instance, the dog is startled by the motor starting on the boat.
Good girl, just get... Don't pull her to her, let the coach her. Motor scared.
Remember not to force your dog. Allow it to become comfortable on its own. In the early phases of your dog's training, you'll be using divers. It's important that you introduce the dog to the diver on shore. Then have the diver do a runaway, the same as what you do on land. Have the diver take the dog's favorite object or toy, run into the water. The dog hopefully will follow the diver into the water. Remember, it may not. Do not force the dog if it does not want to go into the water. The diver should then reward the dog. Let the dog return to shore. Have the diver placed in about 4 to 6 foot of water with the dog's reward object and instructions on how and when to reward the dog when they surface. You must prearrange a signaling method. At this point, we're going to let you listen to the actual audio of this training session.
Give them whatever command you're going to use.
Go ahead, turn into. Go ahead, turn. A little bit right.
He's right ahead of us.
Hard left, hard left.
You know how deep it was.
Speak.
Come on, Chris.
Speak.
Awesome.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. There. Good.
Good girl. Good girl.
Good girl. Good girl.
A scent generator can be used in place of the diver. The scent generator is a sealed bottle or container in which a scent source is placed, such as a piece of cloth that is saturated with sweat or pseudoscent. As pure air filtered from the air tank passes through the scent chamber, it picks up the scent from the oils by evaporation of the molecules. These are then forced into the chamber's discharge port, where a long hose is connected. The discharge hose takes the scent-laden air to the end of the hose where it is forced out of an air stone, similar to that used in a home fish tank. This causes the air to be broken into many small streams of very tiny bubbles. The size and the amount of the bubbles can be controlled by increasing or decreasing the amount of pressure applied to the scent chamber and released to the discharge port. Human hair can be used in the dog's intermediate and advanced training. If you do not have a diver or scent generator, you may also want to use human hair in your beginner problems. We're going to show you how to prepare a scent source using human hair. It's important that you use latex gloves to prevent contamination of the scent source. We're going to take a new stocking that the hair will be placed into. This is taken and inverted over one hand. We'll then take freshly cut human hair that has not been washed and place it into the stocking by grabbing it in the bag and then pulling the stocking down over the hair. We will then weight this down with stones that were removed from the pond, and we will tie a knot in it to secure everything into the stocking. And then we will use this to place our scent source into the pond. Here we will show you a trained water search dog locating a source of human hair. It's important that you check the wind direction and be working into the wind. Your dog should avoid distractions from other wildlife. It is important that you be able to read your dog. Here the dog is located and gives a bark indication. And the handler rewards the dog. When working larger bodies of water, you will need to do search patterns as described in the manual. It is important that you be perpendicular to the wind. You must always know your wind direction and wind speed. This is critical in plotting the location of the source of the scent. Your boat pilot must have been previously briefed in the use of hand signals. This will allow you to indicate to the boat pilot which way you want to go so that you can get the most effect out of the wind and the positioning of the dog. Here you can see the handler is directing the boat pilot by use of hand signals. By changing in posturing, she turns the boat into the wind. The dog loses the scent. This is an indication that you have passed the point where the scent is being released from the water. During this training session, a buoy is then placed in the water to indicate the location where the scent is originating. Practice working on as many types of water-related areas as possible. Docks are common and should be practiced on. Allow the dog to work freely using directionals. Remember that a dock will act as a scent concentrator. Allow the dog to work around the dock, checking all areas thoroughly. Allow your dog to work freely. Try and use a variety of types of docks with a variety of watercraft. The more types of docks and attached watercraft that you can expose your dog to, the better. Agility is important, even on working a dock. This is actual footage from a search on the Delaware River. This is an abandoned barge that had been sitting there for quite a few years. A number of dogs were brought in, all of which alerted on the area around and on top of this barge. Here, we're working up along the side of the barge. The dog is alerting strongly on this side and does alert all the way around. The barge acts as a scent concentrator. The water is actually getting inside of the barge and carrying the scent in with it as an eddy is created around the barge. Here, a second dog is brought in. This is later in the day. You'll notice that the water is higher. This is because this is a tidal area. This dog does not alert on the barge. The reason being is because the tide is coming in, the current is actually now going upstream. The scent is not being allowed to come down from the point where the body is later located at an area that was alerted on by a number of dogs the next day.
Just go straight across.
No,
See if you get...
Quarries are another common place for drownings to occur. The kids are drawn to them during the summer as a nice, easy place to go swimming. Here we're working a dog during a training session. This is the intake to a power plant. Water is drawn in from the river and used to create steam. A number of dogs all alerted on the intake grid. They also alerted on the discharge. It is believed that the body was being held against the intake. When we finally got the power plant to shut down the intake, the body drifted downstream. Eddies are a common place that your dogs may alert on. The bodies will be trapped on the current line between the downstream current and the upstream backwash. Also, scent will concentrate in the foam on the surface of an eddy. Strainers are a hazard you need to be aware of when working on streams and rivers. They are extremely dangerous to you, your dog, and your craft. This is a search in Pennsylvania. This property had 6 lakes on it, 5 of which were searched with dogs. A number of types of watercraft were used, and this search took over 3 days. After an area was indicated, the divers were brought in to search one of the ponds. Your time and hard work will allow the recovery teams to come in and use divers and other high-tech search aids such as sonar and underwater television cameras in the recovery of the victim. This community service saves valuable time and is critical as it helps to provide closure for the family and friends of the drowning victim.